So this is the one I've sort of been most excited of covering, and over previous years it really hasn't. And, there were some bits in here that sort of weren't either, but overall I'd say this was the most exciting press conference that actually got delivered, I would say. So yeah, Ubisoft. They just opened up straight away with the Rabbids and Mario game, including having a special appearance from Miyamoto, which is, you don't normally see him on shows other than Nintendo things, so it was a nice touch. It's entitled Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. There's one guy who's been at Ubisoft for years who was in the crowd who basically convinced Miyamoto to let them have a go at the thing, and he's openly crying in the audience. It's like, man, the feels. So it's an action strategy tactics thing. Apparently it's been in development for at least 3 years, so probably since the Wii U started, really. Exclusively for Switch. And the intriguing thing about it is it's a sort of Final Fantasy style RPG thing, because there's certain just like generic paths, but then when you go into designated battle areas, the battle areas are practically XCOM in terms of where the map is, where you can move them, all that stuff, which is pleasantly surprising. I'm a fan of the XCOM style of games. I'm a fan of Mario. This is like the weirdest combo that I never thought would happen, and God love them. And the other big thing about it is it's coming out August 29th. Oh, by the way, that's the same day as the XCOM expansion's coming out. So, do you want the actual official XCOM expansion, or do you want the sort of unofficial one, which is also a Mario and Rabbids thing? Or both? As much as, and we'll talk about Nintendo and Odyssey at a later point, in a couple of days, the Mario and Rabbids one looked good enough that it's like, if I had enough money and everything, that might be one I consider as actually for an excuse to pick up the Switch. As much as I hate to say it. So then they had Assassin's Creed Origins showcased. Not too bad a trailer. And the way they showcased it in the actual press conference was pointing a camera at a TV screen in the middle of the LA sun, which wasn't great. And then afterwards they were saying, tune in afterwards for the full demo experience. From what I can tell, and from what it's been said in terms of reports that I've seen about the general press conference, this is a very good opinion piece by Ollie Welsh about how this year was relatively underwhelming and how there's too many press conferences. And I certainly agree on both parts probably to that this time. Apparently, the reason why you didn't see gameplay in the main show is because you saw it in the Microsoft one. That apparently the deal was they're the only conference that's allowed to show gameplay, even though Ubisoft themselves, the publisher and maker of the game, weren't allowed to. Thanks, Microsoft. From what they did show of that gameplay, it didn't look too bad. Looks very sort of Assassin's Creed-y, which is not a surprise. But at least the setting seems to be something that's certainly a lot more intriguing. Then it's The Crew 2, which the guy delivering this was very slow and methodical and speaking with a French accent. It's like they got bloody, what's his name, Stephen Wright, You know, the guy that sounds in a monotone voice all the time and things like that. It was like that. I was like, jeez. You're talking about a car, airplane, helicopter, boat, motor, skidoo racing thing, bike racing as well. And you're sort of getting some, not monotone guy, but like, he's trying to make all this stuff about passion. But he's doing it in such a way that it sounds like he drew the short straw of having to talk about this, so who knows. The beta's coming soon, and it's coming out in 2018. So there's confidence. Then a new trailer for South Park Fractured Butthole, which is now coming October 17th. Which means that's sort of bang in the middle of quite a few of the big games. Can't remember if there's anything else that week off the top of my head. I'd have to go through a proper list of releases. So then Elijah Wood's Spectrevision is showcasing some VR thing, which is called Transference, which looks to be a very sort of creepy, scary VR experience thing. The idea is that supposedly there are these experiments that were done in the 80s that were trying to test people's consciousness and minds and whatever, and one of these has somehow been adapted into the thing. I think that's very good fake backstory, but the fact that Elijah Wood's connected to it does seem intriguing. We'll have to see when it comes out next year. So then it's time. They're talking about here's a new franchise, or an old game gets a spin-off. So we're in 1721, and there's a lot of ships. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, pirates. Wait, we already had a pirates game. It was called Sea of Thieves, but no, it's called Skull and Bones, and it's basically the pirate battles from Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Being fully incorporated into a, from what I can tell, online multiplayer game. There's probably a single player thing as well. Probably. There may not be. But they showcased some multiplayer 5 versus 5 gameplay, where everybody has their own ship, and it's basically down to the teams to get the loot, and then by the end, sort of AI, sort of Uber ships come in, and you've got to get away without being caught. And sometimes, you might have to sacrifice your ship and everything in order for your colleague who's got the booty to actually get away safely. It looked really good, considering that was one of the bits which on paper shouldn't have worked, but in reality was really very successful with Black Flag. And that's coming in the fall of 2018, so I'm guessing that's next year's big one. Now, because it's an Assassin's Creed spin-off, part of me is wondering whether that is going to be the sort of Assassin's Creed for next year, and we're actually now going to be getting Assassin's Creed games every 2 years, at least, to give it a chance to breathe, rather than just become an annualized franchise. If so, I wouldn't object, because certainly from what we saw from it, it looked good. Hopefully it does better than For Honor, which, by the way, I did not mention a single bit about, or anything to do with Tom Clancy. Nothing about like another season of Ghost Recon content or Rainbow Six Siege content. It's just dead. No Splinter Cell either. So I have to wait till next year, I guess, for that. Then they had a brief thing with Bebe Rexha doing some stuff, Just Dance 2018. She's coming in October, as it usually does. Just a sort of pop mini concert thing in the middle. Last year they opened with it. Although I did like the hashtag Trash Panda. It was a panda who looked like, he'd been dragged through a landfill site. brilliant. So then we had another South Park thing, and I'm like, okay. And it looks to be a collectible card game in the form of Cowboys versus Indians, so another mini genre of sort. We've done the fantasy stuff, we've done the superheroes, now we're doing Cowboys and Indians. South Park Phone Destroyer, which will be coming out later this year. Sounds fun, because it is South Park. Hopefully it's Gym Pokemon. Gym Pokemon! And everything. So then we have this space game. The CG did look nice. And then it was weird. Because basically with the controller, there's like a contraption that fits on you that you put ships on that you control in the game, and then you can enhance those ships with like different weapons or different wings or whatever, and that will incorporate into the game as well. My only problem is, it's like, here's your controller, there's really a bloody great thing on the top of it. It's like, hopefully it affixes well and sticks there, otherwise, you know, depending how active you are with your controller, it's going to be like, oh, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? Then we had expansion for Steep, and I was like, wait, nobody bought that game, why would people be interested? And then as soon as I saw 5 rings, I realised Steep is going to be the official game, by the looks of it, of the Winter Olympics. I guess Mario and Sonic gave up, possibly. Because I haven't heard anything about that game coming. I think it is, from what I remember, but certainly, in terms of realism, it seems as if practically every single event will be incorporated, at least that is snowboard based and skiing based. The jumpsuit stuff, that ain't in it yet. You know, all the, like, the big air and downhill and slalom, giant slalom, all them, slope style, all those sort of things will be apparently incorporated into it. So I'm guessing that expansion will be probably doing realistic versions of what the courses are set to be for the Olympics over in South Korea. I think it's South Korea that's happening. Then we've got Far Cry 5 to talk about. With I love Dan from the Far Cry stuff, because he was just like, you know, this militia's taken over this town. People are fucking scared. She's always good, because they should be scared, I guess. Guns and Dogs for Hire showed up. It was somewhat of a mini sort of gameplay thing. Certainly looks interesting. That isn't coming though till February, so I'd have thought we're going to get more to build up to that, probably towards the end of the year, as we head closer. Because I think at this time, that's the only game that we know of that has a confirmed sort of month for 2018 in terms of the big games that got announced throughout all of E3 to some extent. And then there was this like sort of like a futuristic sort of sci-fi thing, sort of looking akin again to that Last Night thing. And then a pig showed up, and I'm like, wait, they worked us, didn't they? Because a week before they said Beyond Good and Evil 2 isn't a thing, it's not going to be at E3 this year. And lo and behold, we get a Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer. Michel Ancel is holding back the tears, because it's like he's been wanting to make this game for nearly a decade, ever since the first one. and finally he's getting the opportunity to. Apparently it is a prequel, though. It will be set before the birth of Jade, so... and apparently you can sign up to join the Space Monkey program to find out more about it, and basically to shape the idea of what people want out of the game. So, and that's an hour. I mean, you know, the crew didn't look too bad, but I think Need for Speed was probably the stronger racing game. Assassin's Creed looked pretty good. The Mario Rabbids thing looked great. South Park looked great. The VR transference thing looked great. Skull and Bones looked great. Just Dance was serviceable. The mobile game from South Park looked great. The Starlink Battle for Atlas space thing with the ships. I mean, I'll have a look at it, but I don't think that's not coming out till fall 2018 either. So you know that's not going. They're going to find out more about that next year anyway. The Steep Olympics thing, at least that game might now have a purpose. Far Cry 5, sorry. God, if it was Far Cry 3 remastered, oh, that'd be beautiful. Far Cry 5, I'm excited because I've liked the franchise ever since. And then Beyond Good and Evil 2, the thing that I never thought would happen, looks to possibly be happening now. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, wait. Sony's conference next. Prepared to be not so excited.